For her, an incredible campaign, one that we hope is certainly going to be picked up throughout the rest of the country. Let's continue then the Women's Day conversation. I'm very happy to welcome my guest to the show today, someone who's certainly no stranger to the channel or here to News at Prime, the Deputy Sports Minister, Ms. Nocawe Mafu. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Mafu. It's wonderful to have you back on today. And I'm wondering if and when today will be a far lighter conversation. You and I certainly have had some robust conversations over the last couple of months during lockdown, and today certainly is an opportunity to sit back and celebrate what women have been able to achieve here in South Africa. Let me start by saying Happy Women's Day to you.
Thank you very much, and Happy Women's Day to all the viewers at home and all the women in South Africa.
Ms. Mafu, we as South Africans do not give enough love and attention to the women in this country. It is something that we as a channel here on 405 are working incredibly hard to change the perspective of men in particular in this country. And if we take a look at what's happening in the world of sport here in South Africa, many might argue that unfortunately that gender inequality that we see in society is so often mirrored here in sport. Let me get your perspective, if you don't mind, please, on how and why, when lockdown happened, we saw the women's football being cancelled in a heartbeat, while seemingly so much attention and money went into trying to revive the men's game. I'd love to get your perspective on that and what perhaps message that sends then to young female footballers.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether it's my side, but the volume is a bit low. Yes, one area that we need to appreciate as we celebrate the Women's Month and the Women's Day in South Africa in 2020, amidst COVID-19 pandemic and in the midst of gender-based violence, which is gripping the country right now. We take a moment and look at the women in sport and what they are dealing with, whilst we also appreciate the things that government and the society is trying to do to make sure that they feel part of society. But we can't take away the fact that women in sport as part of the women in general, because when you talk about gender inequality and when you talk about gender-based violence, which grips society, it grips all parts of the society, including women in sport, because they are part of society. But we have to say that as having said that, we know now that the beautiful game has come back, but obviously the preparations should be made to make sure that even the women's soccer will come back at the right time as the preparations are going. But we do want to say at this point in time that it is not something new to say that women in sport are more challenged than men in sport. Whether you talk sponsorship, whether you talk general, support, whether you talk sexual harassment, whether you talk federations prioritizing women or men, they would always prioritize men. And for me, it's about time that we actually take serious the issue of women in sport, because from what I have seen and what we have noticed in all the games that they have taken place, both nationally, internationally, they've done so well. We know Banyana has played better than Bafana, but the support they get is, when you compare the two, is not even comparable. Salaries disparities are something that we don't even want to talk about. So those are the things that we need to try and level the playing field, because they discriminate against women in sports.
I do want to speak about salaries, Ms. Mafu, because for me that is a massive conversation. The pay gap between men and women remains enormous. What do we in South Africa need to do to ensure that our female athletes can start earning the kind of money that we see their male counterparts bringing home each month?
One of the things that we should be doing, as I have said, the federations must take this issue serious, because it's them that can also assist. But as well, government must, particularly as the department that I'm in, Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, as we put together the policy on women in sport. It should address some of these issues. Because for me, it is not even about, taking care of women. It is about making sure that once you level these things, even the economy of this country will benefit for having women being looked well after. Because we all know sport plays a critical role, one, in making sure that society gets together. Number two, we also know that sport is contributing to the economy of the country. And if you are able to deal with the wage gap between men and women in sport, you are not only doing a favor for them, but you are improving the economy in the country.
Ms. Mafu, your energy is contagious. Anyone who has an opportunity to speak to you will know that. And I wonder how, in your position, a woman that is fighting in a male-dominated space, speak to me about how you do that, and what advice would you then give to women that seemingly are fighting in this male-dominated space in the sports scene?
Thank you very much. I take that as a compliment.
It is.
But look, I think thank you. One of the advantages probably is that I've been a gender activist all my adult life. So, the organization I belong to, even despite the issue of the patriarchy in the country, there's one thing that consciously they look at making sure that there is a balance about women in that organization. And therefore, because that organization is the one that is running the country right now, they've also made sure that, even in government, women are well represented. So even if I am in a male-dominated, area, but sometimes I even forget about it. I see myself as a catalyst that must actually make sure that what we want to see in the society happens. Sometimes I remember afterwards that, oh, okay, this is a male-dominated. For me, it doesn't really register. I am in an area where I must make change. That's all. And whether it's male or female, it comes after.
Ms. Mafu, millions of young South African women will be looking to you to try and continue this fight, whether it be about the pay gap, about gender inequality, and hopefully about giving young South African girls the opportunity to dream that they too can become professional sportswomen. Thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate it as always. Happy Women's Day again to you, and we certainly look forward to having you back on the channel soon.
Thank you very much. Just remember, we are Generation Equality. Thank you so much.
I love that. Thank you so much, Ms. Nocawe Mafu, the Deputy Sports Minister here on Sport at Prime, giving us her thoughts on not just gender inequality and the pay gap, but how indeed you can dominate as a woman in a male-dominated space.